Welcome to a new series I like to call The Lost Tapes. Now, really, there's only going to be like 2 videos in this series, but it's actually a video I forgot to upload, or a series of videos I forgot to upload back 4.5 years ago. So I recorded this video called the EPIC DVD and Blu-Ray Update Stack Number 1. And in that video, I show a whole bunch of DVDs, Blu-rays, Steelbooks, Criterion, box sets, TV shows, a whole bunch of stuff. And I recorded a part 2 and a part 3, but I never edited them, and I don't know what happened, and I just forgot. So this is just a brief little intro, just to, say, hey, I'm sorry, and I just want you guys to watch this. It's kind of a cool little throwback of 4.5 years ago, what I was collecting, and it was just so much. And in the background, you're gonna see my old setup back in the old house where I had all my Batman stuff in the background. It's kind of a cool setup. I wish I could do that again, but I just don't have the space for it anymore. That doesn't really exist the way it does anymore. So enjoy this DVD and Blu-ray update, and we'll see you in part 3. What's up, you guys? Welcome to another stash video. This is the continuation of my EPIC DVD and Blu-ray update. We're gonna go through stack number 2, as you can see here. But yeah, the last stack was pretty nuts, and this is just as big. So let's just get through it here. First pick up here, we have Creed on Blu-ray, the Steelbook. I loved this movie so much. I'm a huge Rocky fan, and so naturally I wanted to see this movie because it's a continuation of Rocky and everything. But I really loved this movie. As you can see here, a little bit over the back. It's just kind of like Philadelphia, I believe. But that's it. Like nothing too much. The disc art is just black discs. So, but yeah, I mean, I still really love this Steelbook. I think it's really nice. So, really nice. And you can see right there a really nice shot of Stallone and Michael B. Jordan. Next, we have a movie that I actually really did like. Black Mass. Black Mass was a nice surprise hit, especially for Johnny Depp. A lot of people complain that he's just not very good anymore, and I would argue that he's good when he's in more serious roles. That's the way I prefer him. I'm not a big fan of the whole fantasy, like the Mad Hatter stuff, or the Willy Wonka stuff. That was pretty terrible, to be honest. But when he's doing things like this, like mob movies, or like Donnie Brasco is like one of my favorite movies, or Black Mass, I thought he did really well. So I didn't love this movie, but I thought it was pretty good. All right, next, we talked about this movie last time on my other video, and it's Batman Bad Blood. I actually really do like this movie a lot. In this new continuity where maybe let me see if I can find his name this time. Jason O'Mara, the voice of Batman. For me, it still doesn't really fit the character. Like, when I think of Batman, I don't think of him with that voice. But so far, some of those movies that he's done so far, they're okay. I would argue that this is probably the best of the bunch. So, Batman Bad Blood, worth the watch, definitely. A movie that is a classic. I really do love this movie. 1984, The Terminator. Now, The Terminator, I actually already had this movie, but there's a new Blu-ray, and so it's a new transfer, I believe, and you can never go wrong with the new transfer because some of those old Blu-ray copies are just terrible. So, and this came with digital HD uh, thing. I really like the case. I wish it came with the slipcover. Or I wish it would have been like a steelbook. That would have been nice, but I'll take what I can get. Next movie I still haven't watched yet, to be honest, but everyone that's watched it has literally cried every time that they've seen it. It's Room. This is, I've heard, is really sad. Um, I really love Brie Larson. I think she's adorable. And she's such a great actress. So anything she's in, like Short Term 12, or even something like Scott Pilgrim, she's always been great, and I love her. So, and I'm so glad that she won the Academy Award because I know she's a great actress. So I can't wait to see this movie. I just haven't had time to watch it. Next, we have The Doors. I actually used to have a copy of this on Blu-ray, and I had sold it a long time ago, but I sold it, I think, mostly because I needed rent money. So I had like a ton of DVDs and Blu-rays that I just took off the shelves, and I'm like, all right, well, you guys are taking off because I need some money. So I want to say that this was one of the titles. But this is, I think, a newer release. And it was like $4-5 at Target. So it was a pretty nice thing for me to get it back. A movie I haven't seen in a very long time. Well, I want to say before Christian Bale was even Batman yet. You have Equilibrium. This is a really crazy movie. I really like it a lot, but I haven't seen it since the in like over 10 years. So I definitely want to see this pretty soon. But it's been forever since I've seen it, so hopefully it holds up. A movie I actually loved, The Martian. Now, everyone has been hating on Ridley Scott for the last couple times, and I don't blame them because I really hated The Counselor, and that was filmed here in El Paso, and that movie didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. There's a few shots that were great, but overall it just fell apart completely for me. And a lot of people didn't like some of the other work he's done like since, like Prometheus and all that, and I didn't hate it. I liked it for what it was, but The Martian was amazing. It's really funny, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of comedy in here, which is maybe why it won Best Comedy at the Golden Globes. But whatever. Another movie that I picked up and I loved it so much. Steve Jobs, and it's directed by Danny Boyle. I love his style because what he did was he used, I believe, 16 millimeter film for all the early stuff like the 80s, and then in the 90s he used 35 millimeter film for all the stuff that was supposedly the 90s, and then for everything new it was all digital, like with the Red Cam or an ARRI Alexa or something like that. But I love the style. I love his take on things, and I love his directing. The whole thing takes place at 3 events, and you're asking like, how does that make a movie? It's incredible. So definitely give this a watch if you haven't seen it. It's amazing. The last time on my video, I had shown the complete season 17. I think this is season 18 of South Park. I haven't seen this one at all. I saw season 17 and it was hilarious. But I mean, I never get tired of this. I mean, look at that. That's hilarious. But yeah, I freaking love South Park. It's still one of my favorite animated shows. Just to watch. It's really funny. A documentary series. I've never really picked one up like this, but it's Making the Mob. Now, Making the Mob was it's just kind of like reenactments of everything that's happened back in the day. And it's okay. It's not my favorite. I didn't finish it. I did start watching it, but I mean, I think I'd rather watch like different mob movies instead, that deal with the same things. But overall, it's not bad. I did enjoy it for what it was. But it's worth a watch. If anything, if you can watch it on Netflix or something, I'd just watch it on there. The next thing, which I think is probably the one of the best Pixar films in a long time. I think maybe since Up or like Toy Story 3, um, Inside Out. Inside Out was amazing. It's a tearjerker, and I forgot the character's name, but Nub Nub, or no, not Nub Nub. I don't know the name, but basically that, I don't know if you can see him, that little elephant there in the middle. When he comes on screen, it's so wow. I'll just say that, just wow. It's a great film. I highly recommend Inside Out, even for adults. I mean, it's not just for kids. It's a really good movie. Oops. Uh, Another show I actually haven't seen this season at all yet, but I love Breaking Bad. It's Better Call Saul, the first season, and I really like the way it looks, just the cover itself. But actually haven't seen it yet, so hopefully I'll be watching this pretty soon. I know season 2 is on TV, I think, still, or it might have just ended. So it'll give me an opportunity to watch that and this and just be caught up with 2 seasons of Better Call Saul. So speaking of shows I don't watch, or Spartacus, I want to say that this is the one I was missing the very last season of Warren. What's it called? War of the Damned. I want to say that this is the last one, but I have all the other ones. I haven't watched them yet, but everyone that's seen the show love it. So I'm definitely gonna watch it. One of my favorite movies from when I was a kid growing up, and it's one of those movies that take place during the 1960s New York. It has a little bit of mob, themes in there. Sleepers. Just an overall amazing movie. I love this movie so much. Robert De Niro, Brad Pitt, Dustin Hoffman, Kevin Bacon. It's so good. I freaking love this movie, and Robert De Niro is a priest in this movie, so you think he'd be like a mob guy, but he's actually a priest in this movie. It's so good though. This is definitely one of my favorite movies. In fact, there's a TV show right now, I want to say, that is very similar to the story, and I'm really not sure what it's called, but when I saw a little trailer for it, I think it's on NBC, I'm not sure, or CBS. Well, anyway, when I saw the comments to it, everyone just kept saying, This is just like Sleepers. Oh, this is Sleepers. So, Sleepers, like everyone loves this movie. Definitely check this out. I know it's on Netflix, I think. I remember I saw it on there. A show that I was so excited for, and I'd watched every single week. It's you know me, guys. Like, I love Batman. You see Batman back there. You see Batman back here. You see Batman behind me. You see Batman everywhere in my room or my office, I guess. This show was Gotham. It's now okay. I'm being overly critical on it because it's something I really am passionate about. But this show, and I still think this is the case even the like season 2 just ended on TV. I still feel the same way. It it's so dark and gritty at some points, and I love that stuff, but then at the same time it's very cheesy and campy, and I feel like I'm the only one that feels this way, because I've asked other people, no one else feels this way. I feel like those two tones together do not work. Because there's like moments in this show where I'm like, holy crap, like people are getting killed like crazy and violent, and it's so good. I'm like, holy crap, I love this. And then there's these really awkward moments where it's just, I don't know, man, it's super cheesy, very much like Batman. I don't want to go that far. I was gonna say Batman and Robin type of cheesy, but I don't know. There are these really weird tones where I'm like, it completely just takes me out of the show. But overall, I like it. I like it a lot. But I feel like there's just moments in there where it just completely takes me out. So, I don't know. It's still a good show. You should check it out. Gotham. It's on Fox. It just ended season 2. Check it out, because there's moments in that second season that go like crazy, and then they also go really cheesy. So I'm gonna skip one over, but hold on. Next one would be Mobsters. Now, this is in no way, shape, or form a good movie at all. Christian Slater overacting, Richard Grieco, the greatest actor. Patrick Dempsey, not my favorite role of his whatsoever. And then the other guy, Maynard Costas, I want to say that's his name. Not the best at all. It's super cheesy. But again, for some reason, I like it. I of course, like, if you can see back over here, Goodfellas. Goodfellas is literally my favorite movie of all time. It goes between that and Godfather Part 2. This is like one of the like my least favorite mob movies, but for some reason when I first saw it, it kind of struck a chord with me, and I just kind of accept its corniness. So I don't know. A film animation I haven't seen in many years, but I saw it on Blu-ray and I knew I wanted to get it really bad. Akira. Now, Akira is a classic. I remember watching this and just being blown away. I'm not even that much into anime or anything, but Akira is like one of those films that just like, holy shit, dude. Holy shit. It just floors you. I don't know. The back here, I really love this image. In fact, I have a t-shirt of I want to say Drive. He's walking to his car. They mimic this a lot for like t-shirts and stuff. So it's a great It's a great shot. But I really love this Blu-ray. It's really nice. The next thing I wanted to show together, because it's the same thing, sort of. So that would be Entourage. Oh, here we go. The complete series on Blu-ray. This thing's pretty heavy. It's all, I want to say it's like 6 or 7 seasons of Entourage. And the movie. The movie was okay. It was basically like a very long episode of the series. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it didn't do much for me. I was waiting for years for this movie to come out. It didn't do much for me. But it's really just kind of like a long episode, and I loved it. So for what it is, it's not the greatest TV show, but it's just like a party. You kind of live vicariously through Vince and his brother drama. Well, maybe nobody's like really living like drama, but even like Turtle or whatever. But great. It's a great series. Overall, I love it. It's a guilty pleasure. Another movie that was shot here in El Paso, and it was directed by let me see if I can say his name right. Denis Villeneuve. It's French Canadian. But Sicario. Now, this movie is incredible. This is probably in my top 10 movies of last year. Last year was such a good year for movies, though. But Sicario is definitely crazy, and I loved it. I just loved it. Yeah, it's so good. So definitely give this a watch for sure if you want to get like your cartel fix. I don't know. A lot of people are really into those kind of films. The next one, I have it on DVD, but then I saw that if it came out on Criterion, and it's such a beautiful case. It's okay. So I'm gonna say it correctly because I've heard people say "Y tu mamá también." No, it's "Y tu mamá también." Now it's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, I believe. I don't know. I just said that like I knew it, but I'm positive it is. Yes, I don't see it, but I know it is. So, yeah, I'm not wrong. But I love this case. Like, it's so beautiful. You can see the really nice, very nice. And I don't have a lot of Criterion, but when I do, it's movies that I love absolutely. So definitely, it's very much worth a watch if you're a fan of foreign films or just really good movies in general. This is a great one. Speaking of great, this one is definitely not great. The Walk. The Walk was okay. It was really weird. So I'm watching this thing and I'm already being taken out because of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but him doing a French accent the entire movie, oh my god! Like I couldn't focus on the movie. It was so distracting. On top of that, there was this weird, I don't know, plot device where he would look directly into the camera and then narrate it. I was not a fan of that at all. But the parts where he's actually walking on the wire is incredible. In fact, there's a documentary that I own on DVD called Man on Wire. I would probably skip the movie and watch that instead. It's such a good documentary. You wouldn't regret it. But I mean, if you're still interested, it's not bad, but it just makes some really weird choices. So a movie that everyone that I've talked to loves. It's It Follows. I know there is a steelbook of this, I want to say, that just came out recently. I heard it's like a throwback to like 80s horror films, and I want to say that 80s horror films are more my cup of tea when it comes to horror. It just, back then I was barely born. I was born in 86, so late 80s, early 90s. I would watch like these horror movies on TV and be scared out of my mind. And so people saying that this is like a throwback is a okay in my book. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. A movie that I absolutely loved that you need to watch. Dope. It's so good. It's about these geeky, nerdy kids in like LA. I want to say it might be Compton. I don't think it is. But it's so good, man. Like I really didn't think it was gonna be that great, and it turned out to be one of my favorite movies that it feels like nobody saw. So I know it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, but watch it if it is, or pick it up. Just pick up the movie, because that's telling them that you're supporting them. You want them to make more movies, and it was really good. So a movie that everyone kept saying was a good movie, and I just kind of found it to be okay, not that great. Maggie. I mean, it's definitely different. It's not. I don't think it was the best movie. But Abigail Breslin and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like this. They're basically zombies. It's like this virus that gets spread out, and so I don't know. It's pretty slow. Some of the performances were pretty good, and especially Arnold, but I found it to be a little boring and predictable, and I guess I wanted a little more, but for what it was okay. One of my favorite animated movies of all time, from Disney anyway, Aladdin. Now I had to get I want to say this is from Target. It was the Digibook, and it comes with such a nice Digibook, and I love that glare too. Like, see that it looks like a rainbow. It's so nice. I love it. But yeah, Aladdin's a classic. It's one of my favorite movies growing up, and it came with it just came with that. See, and I thought there was gonna be like a book or something. It's really just the case, but overall, I still love the movie. So definitely worth the watch. I love this movie. Of course, who doesn't love Aladdin? Another one of my favorite movies of last year. As you can see, this stack was basically a lot of the stuff that I bought last year or came out earlier this year. But basically, all the movies were 2015 movies, including this one, Gone Girl. So crazy. Rosamund Pike, Ben Affleck are so perfect in this movie, and I love David Fincher. So I will watch anything that man makes. The Social Network, Seven, Fight Club. Those are some of my favorite films. They're in my like top 50 for sure. I don't know where they rank, because right now it's like 3 in the morning. Can't really think of where I would rank a lot of these movies, but Gone Girl is right up there with some of those, and I love this case too. I really love what they do for him, like with his cases. I know that I think these are Sony releases. Oh no, this is actually 20th Century Fox, which is kind of it's weird, but I love what they do with like the Social Network. If you saw that case, I loved it. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, also loved the casing. But yeah, I really love this movie. Definitely give it a watch if you haven't seen it. A movie of last year that was a surprise hit for a lot of people, and I didn't watch it until it came out on Blu-ray. But I'm so glad I watched it because I loved it. John Wick, Keanu Reeves. In fact, that movie Keanu is kind of like a rip on this movie, but it's so good. I love Keanu Reeves. Like that, like I know people like to make fun of him, and of course, like he makes it pretty easy to make fun of, but at the same time, for me, he has that like likability about him, and he's such a I don't know, man. Like he's like in his 50s, and he doesn't look like he's aged a year since like Point Break. So I love Keanu Reeves, regardless of what people like to say about him, but I love him. So this is a very good movie. Watch it, John Wick. Another movie. I actually haven't seen this since it came out back in 2006, I want to say. Running Scared. Paul Walker, the late Paul Walker. I remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, "Holy crap, this is crazy." I really liked it a lot. Um and I remember watching it multiple times and just being like, "I love this movie." But to be honest, it is over the top. I don't know if this is actually based on anything, but it seems like it'd be based on a graphic novel or something, and it felt very much like a graphic novel. So very comic booky in a way, with all the characters and stuff like that. But I really liked it. Give it a chance if you have a chance to watch it. Give this a watch. Definitely, one of those guilty movie pleasures. A movie I still haven't seen, and I heard everyone just yelling at me because they tell me this is a great movie. The Iceman, with Michael Shannon. I love Michael Shannon. And in the back it says it's Zodiac meets Goodfellas. I don't know about that, but I'm really interested in watching this, so I really want to see this. It has a lot of great people in it, like Winona Ryder, James Franco, Ray Liotta, and Chris Evans, which is nuts. So it has a lot of good people in there. So let's hope that it's a good movie. Ooh, we're getting close to the end, guys. One of those classic movies I hadn't seen until recent. I remember me and my roommate sat down to watch it, and that is The French Connection. I remember he would get mad at me because I was like, "Yeah, no, I've never seen The French Connection yet. But I love like '70s crime movies like Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, just '70s cinema like is crazy. He's like, Easy Rider was the '60s, but kind of like I'll kind of like move it into that whole thing. But The French Connection is a movie I hadn't seen, and I watched it, and it was amazing. Popeye Doyle. I can't believe I even remember that. I haven't seen it since that first time I saw it, but ever since then, I've never forgotten it. So it's a testament to how good this movie is. So, yeah, it's really good. I loved it. It was so good. A movie that people call an American masterpiece. I don't know if I would call it that, but it's definitely very weird. It's David Lynch, of course. I'm talking about Blue Velvet. Um, Man, this is a trippy movie. It's so scary in a way, because you see Dennis Hopper and he's got like this mask and he's like, oh man, it's so nuts. I really like this movie, but I don't know if I could call it a masterpiece. I'd have to watch it again just to. It's been years since I've actually seen it, so yeah, Blue Velvet. All right. One of my favorite directors of all time is Martin Scorsese, and I'm so I feel really bad for saying this because I have yet to watch Cape Fear. Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, Juliette Lewis, isn't it? And Jessica Lange. I guess I didn't know that, but I've seen so many bits and pieces of the movie. It feels like I've seen it. Like a very famous scene where he's in the movie theater smoking a big old cigar and laughing, or the part where it's actually really really weird because Juliette Lewis is like a teenager in this, but he puts like his finger in her mouth and it's disturbing. So it's weird. And then there's also the scene where he's working out. He's got all these tattoos all over his body, and one of my favorite parodies of all that is actually the one episode of The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob is actually uh, imitating all of that. So it feels like I've seen the movie, yet I've never seen it. But there's so many iconic scenes that have come out of it that it feels like I've watched it. So definitely I need to watch this very soon because my street cred is on the line here with me not having seen Cape Fear. All right. Ooh, this stack looks very wobbly. Kind of scared for it. So, I became a huge, huge fan of Oscar Isaac, and I just wanted to watch more movies of his, and this was a movie that I had seen the 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 covers, and I never got to see the movie, but recently I watched it finally. And I was in my head, I thought it was gonna be like a mob movie, and it was gonna be amazing. And it's not. It's not that. It's it's a very great acted film, though. So if you're not a lot happens in this movie, but the acting is incredible, especially Oscar Isaac. I feel like he definitely can carry a movie by himself. As long as you put a great cast around him, that guy can do anything. I love the guy. So, definitely worth a watch. Now, last but not least, this should tell you how long it's been since I've made a DVD and Blu-ray update. Because the movie I'm about to show you is a movie that has already rebooted, and you've already seen them in the movie theater. And although, I mean, it's kind of a quick reboot, to be honest, but it's Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie. Now, I had bought this Blu-ray before all of that craziness happened with Sony, their leaks, and all the craziness happened with Sony. This movie is not bad, but it's definitely not good at all. I would say that there are moments in this movie that are great. I really like some of the moments. But, okay, so Electro basically has the same backstory as the Riddler from Batman Forever. Super cliche too, just the way they handled that. Green Goblin, in the trailer, I want to say that they made it look very different, to where like it seemed like he already knew he was Spider-Man. I don't know what I remember. I can't remember right now. But there's like something very different from the trailer to what they actually showed in the movie theater. And it would have been a lot more interesting if they had done it the other way, but I didn't like the way they handled him either. Now, the worst part of this movie is Rhino. It's fucking Rhino. The accent was terrible. I already have a hate for Paul Giamatti, and that it's so weird to say that because I actually think he's an amazing actor. But for some reason, there's something about Paul Giamatti that I cannot stand. And so, when he's so... And okay, but not only that, he bookends the whole movie. He's in the very, very beginning of the movie. I want to say the opening sequence. And he's literally the last scene of the movie. And both times, I thought it was terrible. So, as soon as I started watching the movie, I was like, I already don't like this because Paul Giamatti was just doing this weird accent and it was not good. It was very weird. And like I said, for some reason, I know he's a great actor, but there's something about him that really irritates me. So there was that. Then the villains. There's 3 freaking villains in this movie. All terrible. All terrible. Terrible. And then at the end of the movie, you just end it with the worst part of the movie, which was Paul Giamatti, and he was so bad. But I will say that I love the relationship between Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy. The scenes that where he's not Spider-Man are actually more interesting than the actual Spider-Man parts of this movie. So that's where the problem, for me anyway, is that this movie wasn't a Spider-Man movie. Maybe it should have been a smaller scale movie. Like, it should have been a Peter Parker movie. Because a lot of that stuff was more interesting than the actual Spider-Man part. So, but we have a new Spider-Man, and I loved him. I think he was great. So, yeah. But anyway, let's just put that up in everybody's face once again. Thank you guys for watching my DVD and Blu-ray update. This is stack number 2, down and done. Now we got one more stack to go, and I feel like that one's even more epic than the first 2. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye.